What if the most famous book in the world about dying is actually this deeply urgent step-by-step manual on how to live today?
It's a pretty radical shift in perspective, isn't it?
It really is. So I want you to picture something for a second. Imagine a vast, just completely boundless sky.
Right.
Not a single cloud in sight. Just this endless expanse of clear, luminous blue, and it's stretching out over a perfectly still, totally silent ocean.
That's a beautiful image.
Yeah. Well, if you could capture that feeling, the feeling of looking at a traditional Tibetan thangka painting, that profound, serene stillness where absolutely everything is perfectly in its place, well, that is the exact state of mind we are inviting you to step into today.
Which is really the core of what we're talking about.
Exactly. Welcome to this deep dive. Our mission today is quite specific, actually. We have in front of us the first complete translation of the Tibetan Book of the Dead.
A text a lot of people think they know.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you hear that title and you probably immediately think of the afterlife.
Right. Roaming spirits, ghosts.
Yeah, those famous descriptions of what happens after we draw our last breath. But we are setting all of that aside today.
Completely aside.
Instead, we're looking at something arguably much more critical. We are focusing purely on the text's profound teachings on preparation during life.
Yes.
Like, how do we cultivate that serene, boundless sky in our daily waking lives right now?
Well, to truly grasp how this text functions as a manual for living, we have to look through the specific lens it was written in.
Right, the highest yoga tantra.
Exactly. Highest Yoga Tantra. And look, I know that term sounds incredibly esoteric to a lot of people.
It definitely does.
But at its core, it just means you cannot separate the preparation for death from the mundane, everyday practice of living.
They're connected.
They are a continuous, unbroken thread. In this framework, the physical world and the spiritual reality, they aren't split.
So it's not like you have your spiritual life on Sunday and your real life on Monday.
No, not at all. The way you handle, say, a moment of frustration on a Tuesday morning, or how you react when someone cuts you off in traffic.
Which happens a lot.
Right. All of that is fundamentally linked to how you will navigate the ultimate transition of death.
Wow.
And just to clarify for our listeners, for this deep dive, we are completely tuning out the noise of historical debates.
Yeah, no academic controversies today.
Exactly. We are focusing entirely on the serene, core, philosophical teachings of the text itself. We just want to explore what it asks of you, the practitioner, while you are still breathing.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the very first step in this lifelong preparation, it isn't about, closing your eyes and just floating away.
No, not at all.
It's about waking up, like waking up from what the text calls the slumber of ignorance.
And the text issues this really urgent, almost fiercely compassionate plea about this.
What does it say?
It says, "Do not be oppressed by the forces of ignorance and delusion, but rise up now with resolve and courage."
Wow. Rise up now.
Yeah. It identifies our normal, distracted state, where we're just entranced by emails, endless chores, pointless daily activities.
Doom scrolling on our phones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It calls all of that a literal sleepwalk.
A sleepwalk. That's pretty convicting.
It is. And to break that sleepwalk, the text introduces the foundation of the practice, which is the 4-session yoga.
Okay, and just to be clear, this isn't about twisting your body into pretzels on a mat, right?
No, not at all. It means dividing your day into 4 distinct periods: dawn, morning, afternoon, and evening.
Okay.
And in each of those periods, you consciously stop and anchor your mind back to the present reality.
So it's like building in these speed bumps for your brain.
That's a great way to put it. It is a methodical, recurring interruption of your daily autopilot. And it's designed to bring about what the text calls the natural liberation of the nature of mind.
Natural liberation.
Yeah.
So freeing your awareness from its habitual reactive loops. That makes perfect sense. I mean, if you only try to be mindful once a week, the sheer momentum of your daily habits is just going to wash that completely away.
Oh, absolutely. It's like trying to stop a freight train with a feather.
Which leads to this really incredible explanation from the Dalai Lama's introductory commentary.
Right.
He explains the Buddhist law of cause and effect using a weather analogy.
A brilliant analogy.
It really is. So think about today's weather. It feels completely distinct, right? Like today is sunny, yesterday was rainy.
Right, they feel separate.
But you cannot actually separate today's weather from yesterday's atmospheric pressure and temperature shifts.
Because they are inextricably linked by a causal continuum.
Exactly. And in the exact same way, our present consciousness, our ingrained reactions, they're causally connected to our past actions.
Yes.
What we are doing right now, in this very second, is actively conditioning the weather of our future consciousness.
And taking that a step further, understanding that causal momentum forces us to really confront impermanence.
Impermanence, yeah. The really hard stuff.
It is. The instructions for our current waking state demand that we undistractedly enter the path and recognize that this compounded body of flesh and blood is just a transient illusion.
A transient illusion.
Right. And when you truly internalize that your physical form is temporary, it just cuts through the petty attachments.
It puts things in perspective.
Exactly. It cuts through the aversions that dominate your day. It basically clears the sky.
But here's my question. If our time is so fleeting and every single action is shaping our future consciousness, why do we live as if we have endless time?
That is the million-dollar question.
I mean, the text addresses this with some of the most striking imagery.
It really does.
It compares the dynamic, fleeting nature of our reality to a mirage, a celestial city, an echo, or a reflection of the moon in water.
I've always loved that moon analogy.
Me too. I love that last one. You know, you reach out to touch the reflection of the moon on a still pond and the surface just ripples.
And there's nothing solid there to begin with.
Exactly. Nothing solid. Just observing the passing of the four seasons, summer fading to autumn, winter turning to spring. It should naturally awaken a sense of disillusionment with our conditioned existence.
Because nothing stays.
Nothing stays. Everything is in motion.
But navigating that realization, it isn't something you are expected to do in isolation.
Right. Chapter 2 gets into this.
Yes, the text is very clear that this journey requires a qualified guide, a teacher. But, and this is crucial, it explicitly warns against blind faith.
Which is so refreshing to hear.
It really is. Before you accept anyone as a spiritual teacher, you must scrutinize their character and depth over a long period of time.
You can't just sign up for a weekend retreat and call them your guru.
Exactly. You ensure they actually meet the rigorous qualifications set out in the sacred text. And once that trust is firmly established, then that teacher becomes essential.
Essential for what, specifically?
For introducing you to the true nature of your own mind.
And that introduction leads us straight to the concept of naked perception. And this is where things get philosophically heavy.
Oh, definitely. This is Chapter 4 territory. We move here into the Dzogchen view of consciousness.
Okay.
And this view draws a very sharp distinction between two Tibetan terms, seems and rigpa.
Seems and rigpa. Let's break those down.
Sure. So seems is our ordinary mind. It's the gross dualizing consciousness that is constantly categorizing everything.
Like, I like this, I hate that, this is me, that is you.
Yes, it's the mind being tossed around by the weather we talked about earlier. Rigpa, on the other hand, is pure awareness.
Pure awareness.
It is this inner radiance that is completely free from those dualistic perceptions of subject and object.
So it's not categorizing anything.
Exactly. The Dalai Lama notes that in this view, this inner radiance actually pervades all states of consciousness.
Really? All states?
Yes, just as oil completely permeates a sesame seed. So the goal of naked perception is to recognize that pure underlying awareness, even while the gross sensory world is just buzzing around you.
Okay, I want to push back on this just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because this is where the philosophy really challenges our basic common sense.
Go for it.
The text states that all appearances, so the inanimate environment, the other beings around us, our joy, their sorrows, that they are all simply manifestations of the mind.
Yes, it does say that.
Does this mean the physical world isn't real? Like the table I'm sitting at right now is just a figment of my imagination?
It's a very common question. And the Dalai Lama's commentary beautifully bridges this ancient teaching with modern physics to answer that exact concern.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, when you take a solid object like your table and subject it to the reductive process of science, what happens? You break it down into molecules.
Right.
Then atoms. Then subatomic particles. And when you look closely at those particles, the very existence of a solid, independent, autonomous object just dissolves.
Because it's mostly empty space.
Exactly. You find mostly empty space and dynamic shifting energy fields. What's fascinating here is how the text applies this. When it says phenomena are mind, it isn't saying the table doesn't exist.
Okay, so the table is there.
It is pointing out that our experience of the table as a solid, separate, permanent thing is a mental construct. It is a label. Our dualizing consciousness, our SIMS, applies to a complex, constantly changing flow of events.
Wow. It brings us right back to that sky analogy from the intro.
It really does.
The text asks you, the listener, to let your mind remain in its own state. vast, distraction-free, and open. You
Yeah.
practice watching the clouds pass through, so the thoughts, the emotions, the solid-seeming tables and chairs. But you recognize that your true nature is the clear sky behind them, not the clouds themselves.
And how the teachings then take this vast sky-like philosophy and apply it directly to the physical human body is just incredible.
Yeah, let's talk about Chapter 5.
We move from this limitless expanse of pure awareness to the very intimate reality of your own flesh and blood. The practitioner is asked to visualize their own body as a divine abode.
An assembly of peaceful and wrathful deities, right?
Exactly.
Now, to a modern listener, deities usually sounds like, external gods sitting on clouds waiting to be worshipped. But the text is mapping out something deeply internal here, right?
Entirely internal. These deities are profound psychological and energetic realities within your own nervous system.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The peaceful deities, they are expressions of your mind resting in its natural, pristine state.
Can you give an example?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine a moment where you feel deep attraction to something, but without any grasping or obsession whatsoever.
Just pure appreciation.
Yes. That is attachment transformed into pure, unobstructed awareness. That's a peaceful deity.
Okay, but what about the wrathful deities? Because in Thangka paintings, they look absolutely terrifying. Fangs, flames, the works.
They do.
Yeah.
But they are just the dynamic, active aspect of that exact same purity. They represent the forceful transformation of your deepest aversions, hatreds, and delusions.
So they're not evil.
Not at all. Sometimes, gentle awareness just isn't enough to break a really destructive habit. You need fierce, unyielding energy to cut through your own deepest stubbornness.
I can definitely relate to that.
Right. That fierce energy is the wrathful deity within you.
It makes me think of cultivating a high-altitude Tibetan garden.
Oh, I like that.
The environment is harsh, the air is really thin, and creating a serene, beautiful space requires this constant, vigilant tending.
Yes.
You are planting these peaceful and wrathful visualizations like seeds of awareness in the soil of your mind. But if you let your mental energy falter, if you just sit back in idle relaxation and are overpowered by carelessness, the weeds of negativity, the anger, the petty jealousies, they immediately start to grow back.
And that constant tending is formalized in the practice known as natural liberation through acts of confession, which is covered in Chapter 7.
Confession. That word has a lot of baggage for some people.
It does, but it's crucial to understand how confession works here. It isn't about groveling before a punishing external judge.
Right.
It's an act of profound internal maintenance. It involves sitting down and acknowledging when your meditation has lacked perseverance, or when you've been distracted by worldly anxieties.
Or when you've broken your commitments to other people.
Exactly. By formally acknowledging these lapses, you actively repair your psychological pathways. You are pulling the weeds so that the inner radiance we talked about earlier can shine through unimpeded.
So if you don't do this, if the channels of your mind are clogged with unacknowledged guilt or anger or distraction, that pure awareness remains completely obscured.
Completely blocked, yes.
Well, we've been tending this garden, we've been repairing our minds, establishing that clear sky, but eventually the physical vehicle housing that mind begins to fail.
It does. It's inevitable.
And the text gently but firmly steers us toward the reality of the body's end, focusing on the visual indications and signs of death in Chapter 8.
Because this tradition views the subtle mind and the physical body as deeply, deeply interconnected, the degeneration of the physical elements naturally produces specific, observable signs.
And the precision here is remarkable. Here's where it gets really interesting. Because it doesn't just say, oh, you'll feel tired. It categorizes these signs meticulously into external, internal, and secret signs.
Right.
And then it further divides them into signs of remote death, meaning death might be months or years away, and signs of near death.
Yeah, for the external signs, a practitioner might notice a sudden loss of appetite or a dullness in their sense faculties.
It even mentions really specific physical changes, right?
Very specific.
Yeah.
Fingernails becoming completely lusterless, the hair on the nape of the neck growing upwards, or the cornea of the eyes beginning to fade.
Wow.
Then it describes the internal signs which map the profound process of elemental dissolution. The body is composed of elements, and as death approaches, they collapse sequentially.
What does that collapse actually feel like to the person experiencing it?
The text describes it very vividly. First, the earth element dissolves into the water element.
Okay.
The practitioner experiences a profound physical heaviness, a feeling of sinking into the ground or being buried under dirt.
Just a total loss of physical strength.
Exactly. Next, water dissolves into fire. The mouth and throat become incredibly dry, and the body's fluids basically begin to dry up.
Okay, and then?
Then, fire dissolves into wind. This is marked by a loss of bodily heat, usually starting from the extremities and moving inward.
Wow.
Finally, wind dissolves into consciousness, bringing a disruption in the very breath itself. This internal collapse perfectly mirrors the dissolution of our external physical environment.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, reading these signs isn't meant to be some morbid obsession with dying, is it?
No, not at all.
It's actually a highly practical diagnostic tool.
A vital diagnostic tool. In this tradition, a human life is considered an incredibly rare and precious opportunity to practice and achieve liberation.
You don't just throw it away.
Exactly. Therefore, you do not just surrender to death casually the moment you feel ill. You need to read these signs to know what you're dealing with.
Right.
Is this an untimely death caused by a temporary imbalance of elements or some external obstacle? Or is this death due to the natural, unavoidable exhaustion of your lifespan?
And your response to those two scenarios is completely different.
Night and day.
Which brings us to Chapter 9 and the concept of fighting for life, or what the text calls the ritual deception of death.
Yes.
Now, when I first read this, I was genuinely confused.
It throws a lot of people off.
Right. Because if death is an illusion, if the body is just a transient aggregation of elements, and the next state is just a manifestation of the mind, why does this text give us such elaborate instructions on how to delay death? Why not just peacefully let go immediately?
It all comes back to the immense value placed on a human life that is endowed with the freedoms to practice. If your death is untimely, meaning your underlying karmic lifespan is not actually finished, but an obstacle is threatening to cut it short, you are losing precious time to cultivate your mind.
Ah, I see.
The text uses a really beautiful metaphor for this. Death, due to the natural exhaustion of the lifespan, is like a butter lamp that is simply burned through all its oil and wick.
And when that happens, there's nothing you can do.
Right. When that happens, no ritual can keep it lit. But an untimely death is like a sudden gust of wind threatening to blow out a butter lamp that still has plenty of oil.
Oh, wow.
You are obligated to cup your hands around the flame and protect it.
So how exactly do you protect the flame? Because the mechanics of these rituals are so vivid, they demand a lot of focused power from the practitioner.
They are deeply symbolic acts. They're designed to realign the subtle energies of the body and mind and to redirect the forces causing the obstacle.
Like what kind of acts?
Well, for instance, if the specific sign of death is the fading of the eyes, the text instructs the practitioner to mold small terracotta imprints of white earth, exactly equal in number to their age, and then they cast them into a lake.
Fascinating.
Or, for a general threat to life, they might construct substitute effigies, consecrate them with specific mantras, and cast them into the torrent of a wide river.
Into a river?
Yes. The rushing water, symbolically and energetically, carries away the malignant forces, the sickness, and the clinging attachments that are drawing the person toward an untimely end.
I mean, it sounds like a profound psychological release as much as a spiritual ritual.
It absolutely is.
You are literally gathering up your obstacles, you're grasping your fears, putting them into an effigy and letting the river take them away. So what does this all mean for the practitioner when the rituals are done?
It means you fight for your precious human life using every spiritual tool at your disposal. You perform these rites up to 3 times.
3 times?
Yes. You observe your body, you observe your mind, and you observe the signs. But, and this is the crucial turning point,
Okay.
if you have performed these ritual deceptions 3 times, and the signs of death unequivocally remain, the time for fighting is over.
The butter lamp is out of oil.
The fight completely stops.
Wow.
At that point, the practitioner must calmly accept that their lifespan is exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
All worldly possessions are mentally and physically renounced.
Total letting go.
Complete. The focus shifts entirely from extending life to preparing the mind for the final dissolution. They enter into those deeply focused states of consciousness transference that will guide them through the intermediate states.
So the intense preparation for living transforms seamlessly into the preparation for dying.
Seamlessly.
Which brings us back to you, listening right now. The profound takeaway from this deep dive into the Tibetan Book of the Dead is that this text, it is not a travel guide for ghosts.
Not at all.
It is a desperately urgent, stunningly beautiful plea to wake up today. It is asking you to cultivate that naked, clear awareness while you are driving to work, while you are washing the dishes, while you are interacting with your family.
Everyday moments.
Right. By repairing our mental habits today, by pulling the weeds in our garden right now, we ensure that when the ultimate physical transition does come, we aren't swept away by terror.
Yes.
We can simply rest in the clear sky of our own awareness.
This raises an important question, though, and it's one that brings a deep sense of humility to everything we've discussed.
What's that?
In his introductory commentary, the Dalai Lama reveals a deeply personal detail. He notes that as a practitioner of highest yoga tantra, he rehearses the physiological and mental processes of death every single day.
Every single day.
Yes. He visualizes the earth dissolving into water, the water into fire. He even notes that he feels a sense of excitement when he thinks about the experience of death.
Excitement.
Yeah, because of the profound spiritual opportunity it presents to experience pure inner radiance.
That is an incredible level of discipline.
It is. Yet, in the very same breath, one of the most revered spiritual masters in the world confesses that he sometimes wonders whether or not he will truly be able to fully utilize his own preparatory practices when the actual, unpredictable moment of death arrives.
Wow, that is profoundly humbling.
Isn't it?
I mean, if someone who has dedicated their entire existence to mastering these states of consciousness feels a genuine sense of uncertainty about facing the ultimate dissolution of the ego, how much more urgently should we, in our ordinary, distracted daily lives, practice seeing through the illusions of our own minds?
Exactly.
Returning to that serene Thenka painting, we started with that boundless, clear sky over a still ocean. The invitation is to realize that the sky isn't somewhere else. It is the true nature of your mind, waiting to be recognized long before the sun finally sets.